All right. Okay. Speak to see you all soon. So all paths lead towards spirit and ultimately to the Creator itself. Even one who chases and follows a path of evil, you could say, is someone that is trying to find their own happiness, their own completion, and therefore their true desire is one of unity and happiness and joy. Where else would the soul go but back to its unified state of its spiritual form, its form of completion, its form of connectedness to all other souls? The soul is following that path. And to begin with, the soul looks for all experiences, trying to find that internal truth of its own existence. And you too may also follow the path of your true self. And as you look inwards, you find your happiness where once you looked outwards and you chased pleasure and the material world, collecting assets like collecting shiny pieces of glass that you forever held on to. But as you begin the path of your spiritual life, you begin to shake off these shiny pieces of glass and to let them go, to reveal the truth of the diamond that is underneath, the purity of flow and connection to spirit. And you may find this pure diamond of self by living a wholesome life, a life of reason, of truth, of care and compassion. But if that is all you do, then your life and your evolution towards your spiritual self will still take many incarnations, as this path is deeper and deeper to the understanding of what is underneath all that egoic needs. It is far better to accelerate the process by understanding yourself and living a life according to the qualities of spirit, the qualities of true compassion, of love, of silence. And one can introduce various spiritual activities of sadhanas. And one may be prayer, but one should pray not like a beggar, but one should pray like a child calling to their parent. So the truth of heart and need and connectedness is spoken aloud. So the spirit form, the Creator itself, will find the requests irresistible. And the Creator then answers your requests, where before it has played hide and seek from you, always known within your being, but often avoided, where one looks in opposite directions all too frequently. You see, man exists and is pulled in two directions. The internal flow of spirit or the exterior world of matter. And the man is pulled towards matter, is pulled towards logic and reason, and justifies that path by saying, it is for the good of all, including the good of oneself, that I follow my path of pleasure and material and financial gain. But as one walks further in that direction, one covers over and resists all things spiritual. It does not mean that it is gone, but rather one forgets where to look. And this world is unsatisfactory, and the person may justify it in many different ways. Yet the call of spirit will not be unheard forever. But if they chose the world of matter and chose the satisfactions of that exterior world, then they are following the head and not the heart. No matter how one justifies that call of action, then one will never find satisfaction in the exterior world. And they say that this is the judgment of spirit, that I am not cared for, that I cannot find the true way that satisfies my internal longing. And the mind, forever lost in reason, in planning, in working towards that final goal of one more dollar, will never find the truth of love that is calling to it. But as all things are drawn forever back towards the spiritual self, then one must choose a path of love, trust, compassion, and the joy of the interior world. As the yogi looks towards the joy of oneself and finds the indestructible bliss, rather than the falseness of the material world whose things just come and go. They shine briefly for but moments, but that flicker of joy must only last a blink of the eye. Where the indestructible bliss that is found internally will last for the eternal life of spirit and the true soul. But those magnetic forces pulling one left and right between spirit and matter means man can turn his head by his own choice. But why wait? Why use an excuse? Why look for that reason and say that is where I am, what I must do, when you know that that is not true? One must look in that interior world, find the joy in the silence, and all of the truth is then revealed. No dollar will give you this position. No clothes, no house, no fast car, no healthy bank balance will give you that truth of what you seek. And if you are lucky enough to find a signpost that points you in the right way and says that you must, or you should, or you could follow this path, at some stage it will take an amount of trust. But that trust is asking one to let go of the mind and to find heart and to find the trust of love and the peace that exists even beyond that love. In the course of one's life, one may find the equilibrium point between the two forces, the spiritual call and the call of matter. And for a brief period of time, one may find that they sit in this equilibrium, pulled neither left or right. And this position then is one of choice and determination. Do you listen to the gentle call or the loud, glittery life of what will always be false? It will take much experience that you follow the world of glitter and glamour to realize that there is nothing there that will ever satisfy you for more than brief moments. As once you achieve one thing, you then desire the next. And these desires take you deeper and deeper into the world of matter and illusion. Rather like an arrow shot from a bow, the desires impel man forward deeper and deeper into the world of illusion. No matter how they justify and resist the spiritual call, but eventually, like the arrow must return to the earth as the desires must take away the momentum forward, as the desires are never true or are briefly satisfied. And the arrow falls to the earth, and its true path must then take place. So do not fire your false arrow of desires in the wrong direction. Let your only desire be the desire of truth, the desire of your heart-based love of spirit connection. And make your call to your parents like the child requesting favor, and know that you are supported by your mother and your father, the essence of truth. And does God not satisfy you and care for you more than the sparrows that are sold in the market for a farthing? He will resist you not and will answer all calls when your desire is true for him. Let that be your guide and your truth. Look within your being and determine what it is that you truly want. Because in there is the whisper of love, of peace, of the contentment of self. And that is where you must go. Follow the signs which take you there. Get the support of those which are near to you, which will stand by you in their truth as they are your signpost. The mind, through its judgments, will say that there is error and fault. But the heart will call you forever deeper to release more and more of the obstacles, the false beliefs, the material assets, and what will no longer satisfy you on this path. But in your equilibrium point, you can choose. And you can choose to live 1,000 or 10,000 more lives. Or you can begin your journey home. But you will begin that journey at some stage. You could pick whether it is now or later. But you will follow it because the soul true desire is for its truth in the unity of its spiritual form. So what will you do? Where will you go? What is it that you truly need? Well, the truth is you already have what you need. But you must shed, release, and let go of those shiny pieces of glass to reveal what is honest, what is available, and what is your birthright. You may resist. You may say the red is not red enough. The blue is not blue enough. And it is not the shape that you require. But is this not just fear of what you must do? And you may chase your false gurus and your false paths. But once you get that glimmer of truth, that understanding, then you either fully step into this truth or you look in other ways. But how will you know if it is true or not? Until you surrender just a little and find the truth that is underneath all things. So your way, your path, your direction is waiting for you now. Will you resist? Will you put an excuse in walking that path? Will you chase the false god of the material? Or will you follow what your heart is calling you forever deeper into? And as I said, there is no choice that you will follow it. Only whether it is now or in another few lifetimes. That is the way of all creatures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, they say that Krishna spoke to Arjuna and said, all beings find themselves in myself. And as they come inwards and find their truth, at the end of time, I will let them out once more, only to return to my truth again and again. To come into you by knowing what is true in you and be home in the presence that is waiting for you even now. But one spiritual path can be easily influenced by either truth or illusion. And in the second half, I will talk more about that. But there are ways to bring your truth into the illusory world that you live. And I will show you ways in a moment. But let us get to our healing list of names. So I believe it is Malada. You have the list of names May I have those, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Here is the list. Raz, Asha, Jaina, Chris and Howard, Mike, Livy, Deborah, Jody, Kathleen, Mary, Mr. G, Charlotte and Darren Johnston, Alex McDougall, Monica, Jody, Sharon, Bill, Noah and Nicole, Kathy H, Kate, Mitsuki Kai, Julie S, Lulu, Deborah, Audrey, Jane, Andy, Suzanne, C. Megan Michael, Don, Eric, Stephen, Matthew, Marianne, Jody, Wendy, Kat, Anne, Jeanette, and Allison. Thank you.
Now, there are many paths which will take you back towards spirit and your creator. But often we have spoke about there are three paths which are the most common: the way of knowledge, the way of devotion, and the way of action. In the way of knowledge, when one has not found their truth and lives according to ego and says all things which are in theory correct, and they rationalize and say the theory is all that I know, and yet their truth is not based in their own realization. They have learned the words of a book or another teacher, but they have no basis in fact. And they sound like a vitriol, forever saying what they think to be true. And their realizations become very shaky because it is always based in what they know. And this is knowledge within the illusion. But one who finds their truth of realization first, then all knowledge comes out of that truth. And the understanding is beyond reason, beyond the intellect, beyond the mind. The mind never satisfied, always desiring for a few more facts, means that there is fear and doubt and worry. Yet the true understanding with knowledge based on experience means that one who follows this path, their knowledge becomes true. Their knowledge becomes beyond the knowledge of the illusion into the truth of what is beyond the mind and the illusionary world. So in terms, it is often called the way of Jihani. And the Jihani then will take its understanding from Jihani Maya into Brahma Jihana, the knowledge of true source. the knowledge of creation. And one who knows this path talks in many different ways, not often referring to facts by one dimension, but can talk of facts and understanding in many different shades. Because the truth is underneath that false path, and they have found that truth. One who follows the path of devotion, if they are working from their egoic self, would get devotion and emotion mixed up in different ways. Emotion still belonging to the physical world, and the devotion of self which comes from the true essence of being. So the egoic devotion is following false God, saying that this is my truth and that person is who I must follow and worship. Maybe the statue that's in the corner, the rules and regulations of some false teaching, asks the student to follow the path of love without it based in the truth of understanding. The true path of devotion, when it is found within the being, is love, forever love. And the love that is found is the love of the truth. And the truth then is seen externally. And one sees the truth of spirit in all its forms. And even if that form is not appealing to the eye, then one who follows the true path of devotion, seeing the deity in the other, will love the other regardless of what they say and do. So you may then see the Creator in everything, in everywhere, at all times. And one then is lost in the purity of the presence of it all. Ones who follow the way of action, their ego justifies their action by saying it is for the benefit of some. It is the expression of some false truth. It is for gain of another, but in truth, it is for the gain of self. And they justify it and say, I am working now to gain $1 for someone else or for something else. But the truth is, they are just satisfying themselves. They say their work is not for myself, but for other. But if they were but to look a little deeper, it is for their own reward. And yet they may say, I do this to help all those in need, but it is not true. But one who finds their truth first, when following the way of action, give themselves of service to others, and they surrender all their needs to the needs of others. And without consideration, the work is done and given away. It is not for their benefit, but it is the benefit of those in need. And it is often placed in their foremost of their mind. What would the other person do or need or want? And without slightest desire for themselves, it is given away. in time and in money and in dedication to others, because all the other thing belongs to the physical world. But each of these three paths by themselves will never reach the final goal, but rather it is a merging of the three paths which achieve the final outcome. What is done and must be done in the way of action, it's done as a surrender and is given away to the truth of spirit first. It is laid at the feet of spirit. It is done for spirit's benefit. The knowledge and the heart must meld together. So there's an understanding of self, of what is being loved, not love for the sake of love and knowledge for the sake of knowledge. All three parts come into one part. What is said, what is love, what is known, become the path of the Creator. But one of these paths will appeal to you more than another. And you must begin your steps along that path to learn more, to be the path of heart or the path of action. But at some stage, you'll be called to bring them together into one, as the opening of true self goes beyond any expression. And then movement becomes stillness. The movement of love, the movement of knowledge, the movement of action, surrendered so that the stillness of truth is forever then available to you. And this is the kingdom of God. It is still, it demands and requests nothing. It is found by listening inside. At first you hear silence, and then you may hear the divine voice, the songs of angels, the pulse of the universe. And this is the call, the knock on the door, that you must stand and wait. Ones who listen and hear their intuition have begun their path of listening to the voice of the Creator. The intuition that speaks within you to do this, to go there, to surrender the other, is the very whisper of spirit, emanating from spirit and pulling you deeper into the silence. So if you are one who gets an intuitive voice, where does this voice come from? Is it from somewhere within your mind? Is it just telling you what you already know? Or is it giving you knowledge which you do not know? Is it calling you to open your heart, to provide service to another? Where does that voice come from? The intuition that speaks to you is another call back home, It may give you truth and knowledge and guidance. But the path is go inwards. Where does it come from? And this will take you then to the edge of silence, where the intuitive voice is no longer needed. And you sit in that peace and wait. For those which are lucky, those which have created their own luck, those that reach this point, if they wish, and if it is planned so, may begin a regular communication with the divine. And you would say to me that that is false. But if you get to that point, and your heart is pure like the child calling to a parent, then the divine will call to you. But you must be true, you must be clear, and you must be willing to listen. And at some stage, you must then make a decision whether you will follow that voice or whether you want to let it go and take the final step towards the blending with your purity. All of this, from the beauty of heart to the knowledge which is given, to the understanding of what you must do and where you must go, is available to all beings. But you must look away from the shiny pieces of glass to the purity of self and the opening of one's heart, and let your actions be driven by that truth of understanding. You may resist as much as you wish. One day you must adhere to this path and this truth. So as you sit between the two forces of spirit and material, which way will give you what you truly seek? The way of reason, of mind, of intellect, of the material, or stepping beyond what is reason into the truth of the first glimpses of intuition and other knowledge. Step further into that path, because you know you want to, and you know that one day you will. This is the path that you must all walk upon. And it is at your feet right now. It is time for you to do what you know you must do, or delay it again and again. And this is where you sit. The choice is only yours of when you begin. come home away from what is false. And together, you and I become one. All else will not matter to you, because you will find all other beings in that position as well. Until we talk again, look inside, decide what you truly want. God bless you all.